और ये YouTube पे सेव हो जाएगा.
Good evening, everybody. The budget has been presented in the parliament yesterday. A lot of people have given a thumbs up. Many has still a questions to ask. And happily ended in last 31 days. In fact, this morning I met some people and I said, Happy New Year. They corrected me. The new year is over. The real time has started. Today, the discussion we are having, the webinar as a part of Entrepreneurship Cafe TV, is politics, demonetization, and entrepreneurial ecosystem. These are the three words which are shaping our year in 2017. As we all know, the 5 state elections are happening now in Uttar Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Goa, Punjab, and Manipur. So politics in the air. If you open up the TV anytime, you will hear the political news all the time. Who is doing what kind of people are getting into the ticket game, what kind of alliances are made, who is jumping the party, how much money is being seized. And second, the flavor in the last few weeks, in fact, I would say last few months, has been demonetization. On November 8th, the Prime Minister announced that the old currency, which is rupees 500 and 1,000 rupees note, will be stopped from midnight. Since then, there is a mad rush. It has been already 3 months since the demonetization was announced, and almost 1 month since the demonetization activity has stopped. Now, if you go to the ATM, you will not see any queue there. The banks are relatively empty, and people have stopped talking about demonetization per se. But the question here is, does the demonetization effect has ended? People seems to be contented with the fact that they have to stand in the queue, but for the larger benefit of the society, they may have to face some hardship. But what is the reality? The demonetization effect, will it bring the goodness that the government has promised to us, or they will have a more rippling effect? I am extremely positive, of course. And third, which is a matter of our concern, is entrepreneurship. How is the entrepreneurship ecosystem developing in 2017? There is a discussion around that the money is drying up in venture capital. The less number of startups are coming up, and people are going back to jobs, then looking at to start up. Is it true? What's the realities behind it? So today, in the next 1 hour, 1.5 hours, we will discuss about what are the effect of politics, demonetization, on the entrepreneurial ecosystem in 2017. My name is Nikhil Agarwal. I am the founder of Entrepreneurial Cafe. Also, I am the CEO for Innovation Society, Government of Andhra Pradesh. Incidentally, along with me, we have a very close friend and colleague, Dr. Dwarka Prasad Unyal, who is the Dean with IIM Kashipur, and he is based out of Dehradun. Dr. Unyal is one of the top authority in innovation and design thinking in the country, and he is considered to be the retailing guru. I'm sure some of you must have read his article online and also on Economic Times. So he is there in a conversation with me. So we will discuss these critical points about politics, demonetization, and entrepreneurial ecosystem, and what is the impact, what is happening on us within the entrepreneurship community, and what are the steps we should take to still make extremely profitable and the best year of our life. So let me invite Professor Unyal with me.
Well, good evening, everyone, and thank you, Dr. Agarwal, for having me here. It's such a pleasure to get associated with the Entrepreneurship Cafe since its inception, and now I'm very happy that you've taken another leaf for Entrepreneurship Cafe to go create a completely online platform into this. And indeed, it's an interesting day for us in terms of the topic itself, the demonetization, politics, and entrepreneurial ecosystem, as well as the politics of demonetization, the politics behind demonetization. A lot of discussions, a lot of talks have already had happened. Political parties have their own views. People have created demons and gods out of demonetization. A lot of us have looked at it purely from the numbers and the quantitative numbers and things like this and its impact. But a lot of people have looked at it much more anecdotal. They've gone just to see around what is happening around the country. There are people who have made a movie out of demonetization effects and things like this. But what we're here trying to do today evening in next couple of minutes is to try to deconstruct these whole three things in terms of politics of demonetization and its impact on the coming elections in 5 states, as Dr. Agarwal has said. And then exactly all these things are leading and impacting the larger ecosystem for entrepreneurs in 2017. The headwinds, global headwinds, are completely moving in very, very different directions. Here we have at one angle, you have terrorism and the religious aspect of terrorism coming in. Suddenly you have President of the United States, Donald Trump, announcing a lot of different agenda points on his manifesto, and then he started working on it. So we have Brexit happening. So a lot of global headwinds are also impacting the VC community, the angel investor community, and entrepreneurial ecosystem. But at the same time, there's a lot of groundwork being done by the governments to develop entrepreneurial ecosystem. Dr. Agarwal is part of one of them, promoting innovation in the Andhra Pradesh government. We are working very closely. And as we speak today, incidentally, we are just coming out of a large workshop which we have done at one of the largest universities in Andhra Pradesh on innovation by design. So we had almost 300 students working with us for next couple of days in developing their ideas. And what we saw yesterday and today on the ground with very young 18, 19, 20-year-old budding entrepreneurs and their ideas and their prototypes, I think India is poised for a revolution in 2017, as I might say.
I think you have said very rightly. Since we are in entrepreneurship, I think we should drop this Dr. Agarwal and Dr. Dwari business.
Well, we know each other for last many years.
Yeah.
It's Nikhil and Dwari. But yeah, we just want to.
And I'm sure like we are all among friends who is a very close group who is watching us. And a couple of questions that comes to our mind. Because you belong to Uttarakhand, and incidentally, I was born in Uttarakhand, but I was born in UP and then become Uttarakhandi.
You bet. I was
same way.
too.
Same with you.
So, technically, Uttarakhand at that point of time was UP, which is Tehri. You were born in Roorkee, so I think we're close by.
But now you live in Uttarakhand, I live in UP, and then also in Andhra Pradesh.
Yeah.
So first question, I think we should discuss a little bit about the politics.
Yes.
The politics of elections. I think that is shaping our budget, the demonetization exercise, and also it is our entrepreneurial ecosystem. Just to share with our viewers in terms of politics, why Uttar Pradesh politics per se, of course Punjab politics, Manipur politics, Goan politics, and Uttarakhand politics is important. But why Uttar Pradesh politics is so important for the country? For some of our international viewers, some statistics. India is the biggest democracy in the world, with approximately 850 million voters, and our total population is now close to 1.25 billion people, and that's increasing. Out of 1.25 billion people, 220 million people live in one state called Uttar Pradesh. Now, 220 million sounds okay, but if you compare this with some of the bigger countries in the world, Canada is 36 million, America is 325 million, US, UK is approximately 55 million, Germany is 75 million, and France is just 70 million people. So all of these put together, you have, other than US, if you put all these European countries together, you won't add up 220 million people. So 220 million people, if you pick Uttar Pradesh out of India and make it as a country, it becomes the 7th biggest country in the world. So that's huge. So we are talking about a huge state with a huge implication on national politics. Out of 475 seats in our parliament, 70, so 80 lawmakers come from 540 seats in total. Sorry, thanks for correcting me. 540 seats in the parliament. 80 lawmakers come from Uttar Pradesh. So that's a huge implication on the continuity of the political agenda what our Honorable Prime Minister is pursuing. So there could be two possibilities, or there could be even three possibilities. The first is the Bharatiya Janata Party, which is in the center, win this election in Uttar Pradesh. Then, of course, there is no discontinuity in the politics of Mr. Narendra Modi, and he will continue his agenda to a foreseeable future, which is development, the actions that he is taking on demonetization, for example, or the reforms that he have announced in the union budget. The second alternative could be that he loses the election completely. So one is first two possibilities are black and white. He win the election, he loses the election. If he loses the election, then we will see a great deal of resistance and resentment that he has lost the election. Now he has a moral obligation to continue his political agenda or economic agenda or not.
It could also be seen as a precursor to the 2019 election. Exactly. That if you lost UP election, some of the psephologists or political analysts will come out with their swords hanging on Mr. Modi's head and saying that, look, people have rejected him, his policies have not found resonance among set of people, and you're talking about the third largest country in terms of Uttar Pradesh. That's a huge thumbs down for him to be continuing in, or maybe as an indication to the party BJP for 2019 agendas on which will they fight the election now. And that's a huge. So UP election ends of the day becomes a huge political and economic and future ground for Mr. Modi. So we have to see whether it becomes his calling or it becomes a Waterloo for him. We just have to wait and watch. And which way the tide turns in UP elections, we have to see. It's very, very complex because UP is not a small state. You've got a religion, you have got socio-economic issues, you have issues of development, but more importantly, you have issues of caste.
Yeah.
And that the impact of the current party, which is Samajwadi Party, and the Bahujan Samaj Party, which used to be running the state before Samajwadi Party took over from them, and they have huge caste-driven agendas. They are champions of certain caste, Mayawati of Dalits, and Samajwadi Party is essentially being perceived more as for Yadavs, for OBCs, and for Muslims in that particular sense. So how Amit Shah, Modi combined are able to polarize the votes if they could, the way they've done in 2012 elections. Are they would be able to do that, or will the UP people buy the developmental agenda? But then the question also to be seen is that that's how the platform Akhilesh Yadav is trying to build for himself as the developmental man. That's the very reason he is kind of almost separated from his father and his uncle. He's joined hands with Mr. Rahul Gandhi, and the new buzzword is that you ko saath pasand hai. So you have a cycle and you have a haath, and dono saath mein chal rahe. And how would people see their combination? Will they be able to split the BJP vote? Will they be able to take the lot of Dalit votes from Mayawati? Or will they be able to garner a lot more high caste votes from BJP? So that's a very, very interesting dimension. And their agenda is also development. So mind you, it's if Mr. Modi is the Mr. Development for the country. For Samajwadi Party, Akhilesh Yadav is the Mr. Development for the state. For Uttar Pradesh. So.
No, thanks for saying so. But the third, I think there are two things which is very important. One is he don't win the election. Second, he's win the election. And third thing we have to understand, just in case he does not get enough votes or enough seats to form a government on his own. Now that
it emerges as the largest party, but
emerges in the largest party or emerges as a second largest party, whatever it is.
Yeah, but
just in case they are not able to form the government on their own, they have to take a support from an external party. That could be in current possibilities, in current political situation. It cannot be Samajwadi Party, it cannot be Congress. It has to be either BSP. So BSP join the government, either they form the government, Mayawati become the chief minister, or Mayawati run short of the requisite MLAs, then the BJP person become the chief minister and Mayawati support from outside. So they get a lifeline and they form the government. Challenge here is that the challenge and question would be that whether Mr. Modi is able to push his political reform the same way, because Mayawati somehow is developmental. She has shown in the past regime that she is a very strong administrator. However, that need to be seen that whether she has the same economic acumen or not, which Mr. Modi, and she has criticized Mr. Modi on demonetization to a certain effect. That has affected the Dalit, what is her major vote bank. So that is again to be seen if this third combination comes in, which is a BJP, Baspa combined, and they form the government in UP, what will be the effect on the national politics? So politics is playing a very, very vital role in whole of
economic state as well. It's no longer economics part of it. It's very much the political economy of the country which drives the developmental agenda. And no political party is averse to it. No political party is shielded from that particular situation. And hence, it cannot just be a developmental agenda. It just cannot be an economic policy-driven platform for either of the parties. How the political equations take shape, how the political parties align with each other, both in impact of that, also on the Rajya Sabha, because UP elections are also a situation through which the BJP can actually, through the help of the MLAs later on, can get more majority in the Rajya Sabha. Last year, they faced a lot of problems of not having majority in the Rajya Sabha, and a lot of reform bills were not cleared because there was a logjam in the Rajya Sabha. Though they had a majority in Lok Sabha, they were not having enough numbers. And then Mayawati, being the member of the Rajya Sabha, have always opposed whatever BJP has brought. So that also brings back the 2.5 year, 3 year of opposition to each other, and how do they go about finding an opposition to Samajwadi Party, Congress combined if they join hands, post-election alliances. So that also needs to be seen, and how does it impact the economy, the businesses, and the overall environment of that larger state. So that has to be seen in that round.
The one thing I'm sure, Dwari, is whatever the result is, but next 1.5 months will be very interesting on the TV. I love watching the political debates and elections, the kind of adrenaline that goes into your system, whether you're running for the election or not. But it's very interesting to see what's happening. And we have seen the high voltage Trump elections not a few months back, but now
even after the presidency has happened, I think people are opposing him, and there's women march against him, and there's a lot of marches thing. But it's very interesting to see that 5 states, completely different ways through which elections are being run and fought, completely different agendas on which these states are going to the election, which is very different than the national agenda. And if you try and see this, for example, my own state, Uttarakhand, we do not have very credible leaders coming out. Unfortunately, it is. There are a lot of people who have migrated from Congress to BJP. Some migration has happened from BJP to Congress post the declaration of seats. And it's very funny that a large portion of people who are disgruntled from these two parties have actually thrown their gauntlet, and they're starting and they're contesting election as independents. So Uttarakhand has always been either BJP or Congress. Have ever been able to, since the inception of the state in 2000, in last 17 years, there never was a clear majority. Both of them got 50% of seat share, and they were independents, like they formed their own small group from BJP. Some people from BSP, 1 or 2 here, have always been and emerged out as the kingmaker. And they were the ones who were actually driven the agenda for the state, not the majority party or the party who has lost the election by just one seat or 2 seats. So that is something also which is extremely interesting. And though Congress has a chief ministerial face, Uttarakhand does not. BJP does not have a chief ministerial face in Uttarakhand. Incidentally, they have 6 ex-CMs in their party who could be the CM candidates, or maybe they would be, somebody could throw a completely different face, just like they've done in Assam. But Congress has Mr. Harish Rawat, the incumbent, maybe facing anti-incumbency or something else. We have to see how those elections are being fought there in Uttarakhand. Versus something in Punjab. Now it's a complete circus which is happening in Punjab right now, in terms of there is an international security issue, there is the terrorism issue, there is a lot of drug issue. The Akalis and the BJP combined. There is a Congress is now trying to figure out how they can utilize Mr. Captain Amarinder Singh's leadership. Sidhu has joined the circus. And then you have a third party which is out of nowhere, has come in last couple of years, which is the Aam Aadmi Party. And they've thrown their weight behind it. Similarly, in Goa also, Congress does not stand much of a chance. BJP has strong things, but then again, whether Manohar Parrikar goes back to the state to manage.
I don't think Manohar Parrikar will go back. However, they may have an oversight because being a defense minister of a country is an extremely powerful position, and you can make a good difference.
Yeah, but you speak to people in Goa, they said, Parrikar runs it from the Parsekar is his man, and he's the one who takes the decision. So people on the street feel that way. This is not my view. More you speak people on the street, on the cab drivers, and they said, Parrikar was a good CM, but he has to be here.
But Parrikar anyway, but the Manohar Parrikar ji, the problem with that is that he is a much capable man than just leading a small state like Goa. Goa has a population just 2 million people.
Yeah.
Of course, it is an important state, but what the BJP should do there, they should groom a good leader under the guidance of Manohar Parrikar or whoever, who can take up the mantle, and then the people who are required at the different stage or the national stage, they should move forward. Same way we have seen in Gujarat, Mr. Modi was groomed for 10 years and then he has taken up the leadership of Prime Minister. Of course, people of Gujarat wants Mr. Modi back, but in the larger interest of the country, he has to be the Prime Minister. Or similarly, we have seen number of such examples.
No, but that's a larger reflection on political parties also. Increasingly political parties are becoming just person-driven, not the process or the cadre-driven. And hence, many of them have not been able to create the second line in the states, which is very important when this, for example, just you have powerful chief minister like Biju Patnaik or Shivraj Singh Chauhan or Vasudha Raje, a few other people in some of the states. But then many states, including Congress and others, who serve the chief ministers are there. They have less say in national politics. At the same time, either they are being pulled up to the national politics or they are unable to groom the second line. And that's always been the case when Mr. Modi became the Prime Minister and Anandiben Patel, Madam, became the CM of Gujarat. The results were not as good as when Mr. Modi was the CM, and hence Mr. Vijay Rupani has taken over. So there are a lot of ifs and buts. There are the completely newcomers have also been made chief ministers, like what has happened in Haryana, what has happened in Assam, and they're all greenhorns. They've never done administration. They've never been CM. They are from the party cadre or the whichever. For example, Mr. Khattar is more from RSS cadre. They don't have that kind of an experience like Mr. Modi has for running a state for 10 years and then gotten into the national politics. Unfortunately, not many states do not have the second cadre or second tier of leadership to do that. And that's a reflection on how political parties are able to groom their further leaders. So that's also needs to be seen. So I think that's where we really need to look at the politics of these states. But we also need to see how this political results impact the developmental and the growth and the other agenda for the country. At the same time, we also need to touch upon a little bit just before these elections, how much has demonetization has affected the election. So-called the black money is not there for political parties for funding. The political reforms being done in this budget. Huge reform in terms of political funding from the individuals from 20,000 rupees to 2,000 rupees, and there's a lot more transparency has been brought about by the Prime Minister, and a lot of political parties have to start looking at how do they fund the way it's being done in the West and other things. So that is also the politics of demonetization, and how demonetization has impacted the politics of these state also. I think, what's your view on that?
Thank you very much. Before I answer your question, let me remind our viewers that there is a group chat option available. So if you have any question, I know it's not an interactive seminar where we can see each other. Normally, as a professors, we want people who are sitting in
Yes.
front of us and asking questions.
Yeah.
But since it is, there is an option of chat available, so you can ask questions on the chat, and would be happy to answer it. Let me, in fact, take an opportunity and put hello to everybody.
I hope you could see it, in the chat.
Hope, please ask your questions here. Or if you have
any comments, or you have any disagreement
yeah,
with what we are saying in our observations to us, it's a healthy dialogue, healthy discussion we would like to have. This is where we would like to make it much more interactive and learn from your ideas and views as well, so that we could actually tell to larger. Also, it could be good response to your questions as well, so we could look at it. So yeah.
Now let's go a little bit deeper, Dwari.
Yeah.
We have touched base upon the politics, we have touched base upon demonetization. Just for a minute, we should also discuss about the entrepreneurial ecosystem.
Yeah.
You have been mentor to a number of organizations.
Yes.
Yourself.
Yeah.
I mentor some of the organizations myself, and we have hundreds of startups in Andhra Pradesh. But what is happening? There was a great surge of startups 2 years back.
Yeah.
And in IIM as well, we have seen a number of people were not taking up the jobs, but opting for a startup, or at least starting their own. But now the trend seems to be declining. What is the reason for it?
I will call it a Sachin Tendulkar effect. Let me elaborate why. See, what happens is that when you have 1 or 2 success stories coming out in last at least 10 years in the e-commerce segment, a lot of young students and kids and who are really keen on looking at entrepreneurial market to look at thought that it's an easy way. They haven't studied the history. That's why history is a very important way to look at it. And if you really look back in our times, when maybe when we just come out of college, I guess there was a huge e-commerce boom has happened in US. Trickle-down effect has happened in our country in 1999, and a lot of e-commerce companies have come up. None of them exist today. But people have forgotten this because then they moved on, things changed. Slowly between 2007 to 2008, new startup companies started coming in. The e-commerce and other startup markets have become much more mature, and people started to look at Snapdeal and Flipkart and a lot of other ones as role models to look at. And there was a game of valuations. Kids wanted to just drop out of college, create an algorithm, and startup end up. So 90% of those startup ideas end up becoming either coming from engineering colleges, some IITs and few of the IIMs and some other colleges, and they were predominantly technology. Not even technology. Essentially, 90% were all e-commerce. So that I have something to sell. Here you create an e-commerce platform or an app. So people were really not becoming entrepreneurs because they had a great innovation. Now, if you compare this with entrepreneurial ecosystem in the West, and typically Silicon Valley, which is the harbinger of these places, things, people have become entrepreneurs because they have a great idea, they have a great technological innovation which has happened. Which innovation has happened out of their PhD labs, PhD projects, master's projects, and so on and so forth. Here, people have not even finished their education. They've gotten an idea because Facebook was successful. It was idea of a college dropout. They just see Steve Jobs never finished education. But these are all superficial ways to become entrepreneurs. You want to become an entrepreneur, you need to have a solid innovation. You need to have a solid technological breakthrough. And then you try and find out what is missing. How do I connect with the market? In order to connect with the market and scale up, do I need money? And where do I end up money? Where do I spend money on? If your entrepreneurial idea is based on valuation, if your entrepreneurial idea is based on the exit, if your entrepreneurial idea is to get VC funding, one day whoever is giving you money will start asking questions, where is my return? Gone are the days when people would say, okay, here you got enough number of, even if you fail, it's okay. You fail multiple times, it's perfectly all right, but if you're failing on somebody else's money. So it's not the case that India has always been an entrepreneurial country. India's a tribe of traders all along, right? So, but they're always based on a solid business model. Even if it's a kirana wala says, boss, I buy on bulk, I sell on cash, I buy on credit, I have a working capital cycle, and hence I have a negative working capital, and my investments are simple. So there's always cash coming back to the system. There's always profitability linked with it. You can't keep on saying my business model is to burn money and get valuations and let the customers, let my GMV or a customer acquisition is just like commerce, people made valuation based on number of clicks. What was that? Yes, you bring people to a particular stickiness to a platform, but today customers are much more smart. They get valuation. If the whole thing is about discounts, the discount is not sound business policy. Sorry to say, a lot of businesses today are working on discounts. Yesterday also we saw many pitches. 80% of the pitches, the first thing the kid comes and says, I will offer discounts. Why would you want to offer discounts? You want to build a brand. And you've studied marketing, I teach marketing. The very idea you make brands is the fact that you can be preferred among the competition. The very idea you want to make a brand is the fact that people will prefer you more, or people are ready to pay a premium for your brand. You want to start your brand journey or a company journey on a premise of discount, it will fall flat. Hence, many of these entrepreneurial ideas are drying up because they are not real ideas. They're not ideas coming out of real grassroots level innovations. What we see, as Professor Anil Gupta has been documenting, I think a lot of grassroots level innovation is happening. But these kids from the larger colleges and others are not even going to rural areas and bring out those innovations and connecting to the market. So that's where also you need to look at why this has been the case and why the bubble is kind of drying up and people are just keep rehashing the another version of Flipkart or another version of Snapdeal or another version of whatever, So we have seen in housing.com, the classic case, what not to do as an entrepreneur is there, what not to do as a VC also, how to behave as a VC also. I think housing.com is a very good example of to see this and to promote this as a culture, as an ecosystem. I think so.
No, I think I completely agree with you that, in fact, right after this, I will write a new blog. Why Mark Zuckerberg, Steve Jobs, and Bill Gates should not be your idol.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you look at it, because most of the people, I absolutely agree, this is an excellent point you have made, that people look at their initial activities that they have started from a garage and they started up and they didn't complete their college education.
It's a much more glamorized version of it,
yes.
Which is not the case. How Shah Rukh Khan became the superstar, that he struggled in the first sets of Fauji, he slept on the Mumbai station and all those ones, but they don't look at what this guy's been doing for 28 years of his life before he got even Fauji. He became a superstar at the age of 35. It's only been 15 years and he's been a superstar. So, it's very easy to look at the glamour part of it and saying that, okay, that's what Mark Zuckerberg one day got this idea and made the Facebook. No, the amount of effort he has put in, the kind of work he's gotten into, the kind of sacrifices made, the kind of rejections he has faced. And even today, no matter what the valuation is, I'm not too sure how much money he really makes.
Yeah.
In terms of his business model, in terms of monetization of his AdWords and things, and Google is the king of it. So even that, half of the world is on Facebook.
And the chances of that, in fact, I was telling the students this morning as well when we were there for the workshop.
Yes.
The chances of you getting an education and becoming successful are much higher than you dropping out of college and starting. Starting up is absolutely essential. You need to start up. You need to get into the entrepreneurship one day, but not at the cost of your education.
Yeah.
We have seen, on the contrary, we have seen a number of very successful startups. Even Larry Page, Sergey Brin, one of the most, they were Stanford graduates. They completed their education, their master's degree. And we have seen Intel. Intel, people were at the part of their PhD program at Stanford, and then they started the company. So, number, or in fact, more examples where the people have started very, very successful companies after the completion of their education.
Yeah, don't discount knowledge. That's what my
Flipkart,
yeah.
but like in India, I don't think anybody is any successful startup has not done his studies. All the founders of successful startup, whether it's Flipkart, whether it's housing, whether it's even housing.com, whatever we say, this guy was IIT graduate.
Yeah,
You know, he in the end of the year, but
but yeah, he did. He learned enough skills.
Yeah.
So it's not about just education. What kind of skills are you also learning? So yesterday somebody came to me saying that, look, I'm a software engineer, but I wanted to become a mechanical engineer. And but what should I do? I said, try and marry these two and try and learn machine learning and try and see if you could solve the problems. Issue is also the fact that you straight away get into making business. See, the very idea that why a business exists is you need to go back and say that what is the problem that business is solving? If there is a Hindustan Unilever and making a soap, they're not making soap because they want to make soap. They're making soap because they want to solve the problem of water contamination and ensuring that you have a better hygiene. So they're solving a hygiene problem through this soap. It could be solved by multiple product complementary products also. So you need to first look at what are the problems around you. You don't have to go to a US or you need to go to some of the developing countries to find out a problem. Problem exists all around us. And unless you have an observation mind and you see how people would look at problems first, and then as an entrepreneur, you need to see, how could I solve this problem? Is there a technology which exists? Can I find the technology? Can I invent that particular technology? Can I bring that particular technology into the forefront? Can I then make the linkages between the technology and the market? So we had somebody in rural India who created the cheapest refrigerator using clay, the Mitti Cool. The innovation was very ordinary innovation. The knowledge existed for thousands of years in our country with clay pots, which keep the water cool. More important fact, the matter was that this person was able to find a market, find the right distribution strategies, and ability to link his product to that particular market. A lot of times, I think this angle is missing in many of the startups when they start talking about. They come up and they actually end up. They get obsessed with their idea, which I always say, don't get married to your idea. You're better people to get married with. Ideas are there, but in an execution part of it, how do you look those ideas into a problem-solving situations is what one needs to look at and develop that ability to look at. Don't look at funding. Don't look at, I can't do this just because I'm not getting the funding. The issue is that you want to become an entrepreneur for right reasons. You want to become an entrepreneur because you want to solve a problem. And India is the best place because we are surrounded by problems all around. You have so many problems to solve, which means we have so many business opportunities to tap. That's not the case in a Sweden or a Nordic country where they're so sophisticated that you don't have much of a problem. They don't even have a trash problem. We have problem of Swachh Bharat. They want to import trash from us and they want to convert that into the situation. And here we are struggling with how to dispose our waste. So there are so many problems in our country which we have a problem. We have a solution for. It could be in form of education. It could be form of gap in the education. So, for example, there is an entrepreneur who runs a very interesting organization through training. But before that, this person collects life lessons around the globe. And he then converts those life lessons into life skills and teaches in the schools. Now, there's a gap in the school education wherein they're not teaching life skills. And hence, this guy has been able to create a model out of Project Fuel. Deepak Ramola is a 25-year-old guy who runs these kind of things. There's an opportunity and it's a fairly successful business purely out of ideas. They don't even need, and all he needs is a pen and a paper and his ideas. And that's it. That's his. People are doing something like this as well. So nice to look at that.
But I think yesterday the budget has come out. I'm sure.
Yeah.
I have not gone into detail of the budget yet, but I have seen some of the highlights. Of course, though I work for the government, but at the same time, I want to put my criticism of not bringing 4 factors, which are very, very important factors, into the budget very clearly. The first is about innovation.
Yeah.
Second is about science, technology, and fourth is about startup. Now, these four things, science, technology, innovation, and startup, creates a platform where you can leapfrog in the future. Unfortunately, in the last two budgets, there was some visibility in these areas, but unfortunately, we have failed to address these opportunities in this budget. So my request to the Honorable Prime Minister and Honorable Finance Minister, just in case if they are watching this broadcast, I'm sure we have few viewers, and I'm sure one of the viewers is from the Prime Minister office.
Okay.
So if they're watching it, my humble request to them is that please come up with an addendum to the budget and address these issues, that how we can replicate the success of startups in the country.
Yeah. And they have a ready model with Andhra Pradesh Innovation Society, yes, doing amazing work in Andhra. And I also work with some of the governments. And more I know about Nikhil's outfit, more I work with them, more I go and speak to my chief secretaries in the states wherever I work. I work in Uttarakhand and Assam. And I've been telling a lot about what Andhra has been able to do and leapfrog in terms of creating an entrepreneurial and innovation ecosystem. And then you have to really commit to it. At the same time, there's the largest outlay on Manrega. I would always take that with a pinch of salt. I would always see that kind of more of a socialist policy, because there's a lot of studies which have been done, which says that Manrega has skilled labor. Now that is a huge tragedy if that is happening, and I've seen it personally in my own Himalayan villages where I come from. People have stopped working on skilled labor because they can very well get menial labor jobs. So what has been happening, that skilled people are doing the jobs of unskilled people. Now that is something of a tragedy, wherein India is trying to run upskill India, digital India, and all those things. And here we have huge outlay of Manrega. I think there should be an addendum, just like for the startup, on this, that a large portion of that Manrega should be allocated to create skilled jobs in the rural areas, and that's where you could create rural entrepreneurs. Yeah. You could link up rural economy to the world economy, to the district economy, to the state economy, to the country economy, and to the world economy over a bit of time. And with digital India, it is possible, with the broadband going in, with smartphones coming into the country. I think that's where we need to make it a lot more linkages. And then there are a lot of rural youth which is getting educated, but they're not getting requisite skills. So they're getting educated, but the skills are not there. And hence, a lot of MHRD, I think, needs to look at not just creating more schools. We already have huge number of schools, but what are those schools producing?
Coming to MHRD, one idea came to me, your friend, just now. And in front of the viewers, I want to share this idea. It's absolutely radical.
We should tweet it.
Radical idea.
Tweet it to the minister immediately.
How to solve the science and technology innovation problem.
Yeah.
The whole Indian economy is 21.7 lakh crore.
Wow.
Which translate to be almost $2 trillion, right? Which is not small. Which is quite big, and we are growing.
Number 3, right? In the world,
we are growing on 7% basis.
Yeah.
Now another question.
Despite of demonetization.
Despite of demonetization, we are growing, and we are not doing too bad.
Yeah,
of course, we can do better, but we are not doing too bad.
I guess.
So when we have such a large economy, challenge what we face here is the brain drain. People go out. In fact, I went abroad because I was not able to get enough opportunity in terms of my research and other things.
But you came back.
Yeah, and then when I came back, because the government changes and there was a lot of interesting things happening, and thanks to our Honorable Chief Minister Nara Chandrababu Naidu and also the Prime Minister, who have created that ecosystem and brought the people like us back.
Yeah.
However, given an opportunity even today, we are opening up IIT and IIMs at a meager capital, 500 crores or 80 crores. 500 crores will not do anything for a good quality IIT.
Yeah.
Why don't we give $1 billion a year for next 10 years to creating only one institution? $1 billion, you can create a Stanford-like an institution in the country. And let's find out these 10 locations in different places and open up one institution each.
See, I have my
it's just a $10 billion job. $10 billion job. but in $10 billion, you will have a 10 good quality organization which are focused. Let's say we replicate an ISC or something. But what we do it, we announce the policy of opening up a new institution, but we fail to fund them properly.
Not just the failure of the funding, I think even the policies, the guidelines, the DPRs are also, because I'm part of a new IIM and I have huge reservations about even choosing the locations, and that becomes very political. It might sound little, because both of us work closely with the government, it might sound a little more of a criticism to the government, but I work with the bureaucracy also. And their view is that it's the state government's responsibility to find the exact location for these IITs and IIMs. And some of these, the recent ones, the locations are not very conducive for the creation of such institutions. One. Secondly, what we have done is that we have failed to create a university township model, what we have seen in US, except Manipal, wherein at one place we have the critical mass of large educational institutions, which feeds to a large economy, to the industry. At the same time, it feeds to the town also. So, for example, you look at Oxford. You went to Cambridge, right? So, whole university actually feeds and works, and the whole environment there, right? You see any of the large private or a state university in US, Johns Hopkins, for example, the whole university actually runs the whole city of Baltimore. So, because they have the critical mass. So once you're talking about a $1 billion endowment, for example, for one place, ensure that it is a multi-faculty, multidisciplinary. So we create an NIT in some remote corner. So in Uttarakhand, for example, NIT is in a very remote corner called Srinagar, even further away from Srinagar at a village called Sumati. We have an IIM at a completely back in the beyond place called Kashipur. We have an AIMS which is coming up in somewhere in Rishikesh. And we have an IIT which existed, one of the older ones at Roorkee. Now, these are 6-7 different spaces. None of them are interconnected. None of them are creating a critical mass of students. So, for example, an IIM, we have 400 students. NIT, they have 1,000 students. An IIT, they have 3,000-4,000 students. And an AIMS will have some. Now, if they could have created a special economic zone or an education zone between Rishikesh and Dehradun, maybe 400 acres, 500 acres, whatever that space is, very close to the airport, very important in our modern day context, and then created these 7 institutions together. Then you will see you have 15,000 students. Then you will have 3,000 faculty members. Then you will start linking it up with large industrial hubs. Then you have
co-learn with each other.
Absolutely. Then all you need is that you need these 10, 15 huge special economic zones, education zones, to do that. China has done that very effectively. What they've done is each state, they've created these large universities, just like what you've said. Each of these universities have 50,000 students. They have close to around 40 different colleges and departments. And they have these $1 billion funding to each one of them. That creates the scale. That creates the ability for them to become the growth engine for the economy. And that's what has fueled US in as many last 40, 50, 60 years. The university has fueled the innovation and growth of US economy. India, these are all two different. It's education, it's industry. And economy has got nothing to do with it. That's where we have the gap happening. I think if we need to link it up we need to link educational institutions, entrepreneurial ecosystem, creation of all those ones, and link it up with the economy. I think that's where we need to look at it. We have been creating many institutions without proper funding, without proper guidance, without proper infrastructure. We started IIM Kashipur in a sugarcane research institute. So people used to say, Ganna Sansthan mein aap IIM chala rahe. I said, look, we are lucky. We have still got a 2-acre independent campus. If you go to some of the few new recent IITs and IIMs, they're working out of completely smaller infrastructure, which is not at the stature of a national institution like an IIMs and an IITs. And also, I think our focus on IITs and IIMs has been undue. We don't need as many IITs and IIMs. What we need is a large multi-faculty, undergrad-driven quality education universities.
We require Virginia Techs and
Georgia Techs and
huge, which is huge. Of course, I agree with you. That's something which, if our viewers can pass on this message to the Honorable HR Minister, and we will be very happy to have a dialogue.
Policies being made I'm not too sure how much impact will it have.
Yeah.
So that's it. Okay.
So we need to stop now. It's almost time. Before we stop, I want to. Yesterday, I heard a very interesting proverb, which says that if you are in current situation, then don't commercialize your solutions. Commercialize your problems. Successful are those who commercialize their problem. Mark Zuckerberg has a problem because he didn't have a girlfriend and and he was looking for to connect and to so he created a Facebook, and where he started rating the girls into the Harvard, and then suddenly like he's a $100 billion guy. Same thing happened to Larry Page and Sergey Brin. They were not able to search, and they created a search program. So try to commercialize a problem, and that problem can become a solution to millions and millions and billions and billions of people.
And also look at opportunities in each of these situations coming our way. A lot of people criticize a lot of government policies, which is perfectly all right. We do all the time. But for example, look at the topic for today's discussion was demonetization, where people saw it as a huge problem. I think both Nikhil and I saw it as a huge opportunity for going digital, for going cashless. Just to give a figure, India has 600 million people who defecate in open. So we don't have toilets for them, but we have 700 million mobile phones in our country. So if we empower, and mobile phone becomes the empowering agent for this, and that's why people have to work towards it. I think we would be able to solve a lot of problems, the linking in the rural areas and the other. So I would rather see this as a push. Because of demonetization, 22 crore Jan-Dhan accounts were able to get utilization. The money was coming into that particular one, and as there would be less cash, the Bheem is the new app. There are other people who are coming up with innovations. Paytm used to be one of them. There are many others. Slowly over a period of time, you will see consumer behavior changing. Slowly you will see a lot of people buying more because they are using plastic money. That's been the case in the West. That will spur up the economy much more. So we will always see that as a temporary phase, where when the spending has come down, people had monetary and other cash transactions and cash crunch. But today, when things are stabilizing, I think demonetization has given a huge opportunity for a lot of startups, a lot of new ideas, and a lot of ways to connect people and empower them with the kind of money they have in terms of plastic or otherwise. So that's how I would always see it as a huge opportunity for India to change forcefully. Yes, 1991 was forced on us. Today we see and we reap the benefit. I think demonetization is another third important thing in our lives. I think that one was 1947, then 75, emergency, not too good. Then I think 91, a bitter pill, but good for us. Demonetization, even 2016, again a huge bitter pill for the initial situations. But I think it's a very good.
But let me ask you the last question. In fact, that day my wife was searching something, and she found the last bit of 500 rupees note. I don't know what to do about it.
No, keep it, frame it, because over a period of time you can't sell it off, of course, and you can't keep many of them. I think, as my son said, and I'm sure your son would remember now, that demonetization was one of the huge things in their lives. They're big enough, they're 10, 12 now, they're big enough to understand the difference, and they would show to their offsprings over a period of time that this would have happened, and this would be framed in our drawing rooms to see one last bit of those things of life.
That will keep on reminding us the history and also the opportunity which is bringing.
As Indians, we are not very mindful of our history. I think we should be very careful, and we should be very mindful to remember a lot more of our history, to learn a lot from them. So, a parting note on that.
What a great debate. I think there's been a fantastic discussion. Thanks a lot, Dwari, for spending a time with us. And don't forget, this is the Entrepreneur Cafe TV broadcast. We have 2 meetings every month. One happened the second Thursday. Second, it is a digital meeting, an online meeting like this. It will happen on this last Thursday of every month. It goes online, and we will have thousands of video which will be uploaded in the next few months. Become part of Entrepreneur Cafe and do make a difference. Don't forget, 2017 will be the best year of your life, and I promise to it. Bye-bye.
Yeah, bye-bye.